Alright guys, this video is about what's the difference between an ENFP and an ESFP. These are some Discord chats I had with some people and we were discussing this, and I'm just looking at that as my notes since my iPad is not working the way I would like it to be. So first thing is, these are based off of some videos that other people had said is, there was an ESFP girl who said that when she goes to parties, there's a difference between deep talking at coffee and deep talking at a party. She would like to deep talk at coffee, but when it's a party where there's a lot of things going on, there's cake, there's dancing, she just wants to have a good time. And she's so focused and absorbed in the moment that she wants to have a good time that she's not really interested in going for a deep talk unless it's extremely interesting. It has to be extremely interesting. And I think that's where the bar to get an ENFP interested is much lower at a party. An ENFP would be much more focused on getting new perspectives, meeting new people, but an ESFP is like, you want to talk to me at the dance floor? No. I'm here to dance. I'm here to party. The ESFP is really much about, at the moment, what is the best thing to do. So it's kind of like ENFP might be thinking, it's always the right time to do the right thing. And ESFP might be more like, there's a right time to do the right thing. The ESFP is more like, for example, if you want to have a deep talk, find that deep talk time. I want to enjoy the moment and live in that moment and for what it is. Whereas the ENFP is like, deep talking is the right thing, so I want to deep talk all the time. A difference between ESFPs and ENFPs also is that it would appear that ENFPs with SE, see, when you have any as your dominant function, you're more in the world of ideas, whereas SE is your dominant function, you're more in the real world concretely. So ENFPs can lose things very easily because they're in the world, in a parallel universe. Their mind is somewhere else in a different dimension, whereas ESFPs are in our dimension. So because ENFPs are in a different dimension, they'll more easily lose things. So in order to protect themselves from losing things, they'll neurotically form rules. Like some ENFPs were saying how at work they would say like a song like hat, keys, phone, or something like every time they left the building of their work, hat, keys, phone. So they'll create some rules to kind of help them ground them back in reality. So because their mind is expanding is expanding in all directions, they need to say something or do something that would ground them back into reality. When we're discussing about proof, I think ENFPs, because they are they're much more open-minded. I've heard a lot of ENFPs say things like, oh, I believe in Taoism, I believe in MBTI astrology. They can believe in tarot. They can believe in like every system, even if every single system has a contradiction with other systems, because they have TI as their 7th function BB model, their blind spot. They don't really care about logical consistency, contradiction free. Because they don't believe in logical consistency as being highly valued in their stack, they can accept things that have logical inconsistencies, and they can basically accept all kinds of crazy ideas. And so they don't have a really high demand for proof. SE is not high in their stack. They're an SI user. So as long as it makes sense to them and it doesn't need to be logically consistent, it makes sense and it's real, it's considered real, and it's proof to them. So I think their burden of proof is much lower. But an ESFP perhaps will need more sensor proof, more concrete proof, because they're not going to likely accept so many contradictions or so many crazy things that like astrology and like they might play around with these things, but they might not accept them as really true, because what they would consider as true is something that it feels real to their lived experience. Whereas ENFPs can be conceptually true with a very low TI bar, a very low bar for logical consistency. ENFPs are excited and interested if there's like, oh, this and this, just new ideas. If they're just new ideas, even if they're completely bullshit, or they can find value and they can find truth in something that's 95% false. So if it's 95% false, then it's 5% true. So they can consider and see the possibilities. And hey, this 5% true thing with this thing and this thing and this thing, and they can combine a lot of things into something. They can combine a lot of ideas from a lot of different places and come off as extremely creative because they're creating new combinations of things. And I don't think they're that interested in like orthodoxy. So for example, it's not that if they're studying socionics or they're studying MBTI or they're studying any kind of theoretical system, they're not likely to say, like, I think INTJs somehow give me because of the NI focus, they want to narrow down on what is the true way, what is the true path, and they'll criticize things that they find it's not true. So maybe an ENFP sees something that's 95% false and they'll be like, it's 5% true, it's good enough, I can use this to help me open my mind and see things from new perspectives. But an INTJ does not want to really expand new perspectives that much. They want to narrow down on what's more true with their NI and the pattern focus. So if it's 95% true, 5% false, they'll probably focus on the 5% false, and then they'll start criticizing that because they're looking for the perfection of 100% true. ESFPs, I don't think that they're that interested in the conceptual world. They're much more interested in the real world and the physical world, the world of the senses. A conflict that ENFPs and ESFPs commonly have is ENFPs hang out with ESFPs and they're like, oh, I've got 10 great ideas. We're going to go to the park. We're going to go do this. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. And let's do this. And let's do that. They like to brainstorm and put a lot of ideas on the table. Whereas the ESFPs are like, okay, great. So when are we going to do it? And they get frustrated because ENFPs might be like, yesterday I want to do 10 ideas, but today I'm not that interested in doing those 10 ideas. That was yesterday. Today is a new me. I'm interested in something else. And ESFPs are like, what? Didn't we just say that we would do one of those? So ESFPs, something that separates ESFPs and ENFPs is ESFPs have SE above any kind of thinking function. They have SETE loop. They're much more, the distance between thought and action is very minimal. So a very high SE subtype ESFP might, the moment they think something, the moment they're going to do it. Or they might do it before they think. They like thinking and doing. They don't like thinking really long periods of times and then acting on something. They would like just like, that's wasting time. They don't want to waste time. I got an idea. Let's execute. Let's do it. In this sense, ENFPs are more like